also want to acknowledge the Serbian American Club and all of those who have had a chance to be behind the scenes to make this happen. AFS, the American Folklore Society, of course, is happy to welcome all of you who are signing in, those of you who are already here, as we proceed today with this incredible program. We are so excited to have it. It is here from Harrisburg. Welcome. I'm going to pass it on now to Yvonne, who is a member of the Local Arrangements Committee. Yvonne.
Hi, and I'm so very happy that all of you are joining us tonight. I'm Dr. Yvonne Millspaugh. I'm senior folklorist and co-chair, along with Dr. Brant Ellsworth, of the Local Planning Committee for the 2021 American Folklore Society annual meeting. Please let us extend a really warm welcome to all of you. This is our second Here from Harrisburg virtual series program. Tonight featuring Svriaj. I hope I said that right, guys. Wave if it's okay, yeah. It's a fine Balkan dance band from Steelton, Pennsylvania, which Steelton just wishes right up into Harrisburg. So you're actually not going to know when you're in one or the other. And we feel that this summer virtual series is going to be one way to help you to participate in the very diverse traditions of the local communities of central Pennsylvania. We need to thank the Pennsylvania Council on the Arts, whose Creative Catalyst grant has made these programs possible, and tonight especially to the Susquehanna Folk Music Society, who are in fact part of our Local Arrangements Committee, for their unwavering support of our series. So I'm going to turn this over to Christopher Moulet, who's going to point out the technical ground rules for this evening. And I hope all of you have a perfectly fabulous time listening to and dancing to Svriaj. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Yvonne, and thanks, Norma, and thank you all for being here. It is June 8th, 2021, and we are hopefully coming out of this situation where we are forced to be apart. And I will say in this event tonight, Svriaj and Amy Skillman are together in the same room. And I'll point out a sort of behind the scenes thing is that Danilo and the group did an incredible job, including Yvonne and Amy, of getting this set up to sound really good. As we all know, doing Zoom programs online can be really hard if you have percussion or multi-instrumentalist groups, and they've done a great job. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that this was not an easy feat. There's about 150 feet of Ethernet cable being run through where they're at. And that's when you know you're doing a public program, when you have a purchase that is 150 feet of Ethernet cable. It's not a party until someone buys Ethernet cable that long. So in part of ground rules, I just want to make sure everyone understands this is a meeting. It's not a webinar. So you probably don't see a Q&A box, but just put a question in the chat if you have it, and I'll monitor it. Amy's in the same room with these guys, so I might come up here and there to make sure those questions get asked later on. So I'm going to pass it over to Amy, and there will be time for Q&A, but as things go along, just put it in the chat, and I'll make sure to be on top of it. Thank you all so much for being here. So I'm going to pass it to Svriaj. Thank you.
Hi. si me stojne, kad bi stala, ja bi ga prodala, kad bi stala, ja bi ga prodala. Papi no sé si me stojne, papi no sé na tambure dala, papi no sé na tambure dala. Papi s vama, jao, 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 papi s vama si ne stojne, papi s vama svu noć lupovala, papi s vama svu noć lupovala.
Stop there.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
All right, so that is Svriaj, which means play on in Serbian, right? Play on, and it's a command. It's not a question, or it's a command. Play on. So, as Yvonne said, this is a tamburashi group that has been based in Steelton, Pennsylvania, just a little bit south of Harrisburg. And that is a community that has had a thriving Eastern European music scene and community since Steel came to Steelton. So, and we are here at the Serbian Club, and we've had our shot of Metovina. Metovina. We've had our shot of Metovina. We hope you have too, so that you'll have you'll be really in the spirit of listening to this music. So we've turned the beer cooler off. So yeah, we're here in the club, and it's Chris here that has the key to the club, and it's Lenny here,
Who drinks everything in the club.
who drinks everything in the club. Lenny's the president of the church, which is right next door, and it's over 100 years old, you said, right? Yeah. So I've known them since 1988 when I moved to Pennsylvania, and I'm so grateful to the Susquehanna Folk Music Society and the American Folklore Society for giving me the opportunity to connect with them again after having moved to Maryland. And so it's been really fun to reconnect. And what I'd like to do now is just invite them to introduce themselves, talk a little bit about the instruments that they're playing and maybe how they got started. And I'm going to be kind of off screen to let them shine. So go for it. All right, you want to start?
Okay, my name is Daniel Lojanic, and first of all, I want to thank Amy for all of her support over time and bringing us together with all of you. So Amy, thank you for that. My name is Daniel Lojanic, and I play Bugaria. This is the rhythm instrument, as you could hear. And it is for those musicians out there, it is an open D chord with 5 strings, open D major chord, and you see that it's a cross between, I guess, a rhythm guitar and a snare, but it is the rhythm instrument of a tamburashi group. I have been playing all of my life. Amy asked the question about how did we get started. I'm sure the guys do. I don't remember a time when I didn't play. I don't. Growing up in this place, I don't remember a time that I didn't play. So it's just a continuation.
Hi, my name is Chris Radonovich. I play bass. It has 4 strings. Danilo played at my parents' wedding 57 years ago.
Whoa.
I was 2.
Accordion.
I played accordion. Yeah, I did.
So he's old enough to be my father. And I remind him about it all the time.
He does.
Likewise, I've been playing since I can remember. I started as a child in elementary school playing, and I also play in a symphony orchestra and some other groups. But yep, I play bass.
Hey y'all, my name is Lenny Tepsick. I play the cello, and I started playing cello right here at St. Nick's. We put a tambourinista group together. There's an old timer named John Shipwreck. In fact, his picture's up on the wall over there. And I wanted to be a bass player because my grandpapa and my uncle played bass. He said, no, you're going to play cello. This is a different kind of cello. It's just 4 strings like the bass. He said, play cello, then you can play anything. So I can play cello and I can't play anything. So. But thanks to this music, it's amazing how music is universal. It has opened doors for me to play a lot of different things. To include, I taught myself how to play an acoustic guitar, thanks to the cello. And so I do a lot of work with kids these days in the classroom with social emotional wellness songs and curriculum, that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm Lenny Tepsick. It's nice to see you.
Hi, I'm Mike Virginik. In our language, it's 40-inch. My nickname is Mikkel. I've been playing my whole life. My mom was a violin player in a tamboura band that her and my father had. She taught me to play violin starting at maybe 6 or 7. And then maybe in 6th grade, I was in the local kola group at our Croatian church. And I also play this instrument. This is called a prim. It is in the tambourista family, like the cello and the bugatti are. Started that maybe 6th grade. I say that. My aunt taught me that. Got me started on tambura. So we've just been playing all our lives. Picked it up from the older ones.
Oh yeah.
That's great. So, and actually, I'll say that if I turned the camera around, you'd be able to see tons of photographs on the wall in here that are probably photographs of some of these guys' aunts and uncles and grandparents and that sort of thing. So can you tell us a little bit about what Steelton was like when you were growing up, and has it changed, or have the venues that you played changed at all?
I should probably answer that first because Chris will be the first to tell you that I'm the oldest among the group by some distance. So
You were here before Steelton was.
I was. God,
It was called Big Iron then.
I'm telling my brother. That was good. That's true. That was good. That was good. And to tell you the truth, the of course, and I'll speak, Amy, to the parish, right? The parish began in 1903. My grandfather didn't come until 1906, but one of the founders of the place, and so we lived right across the street from the church, or a little row house. I could almost touch the roof of the church subsequently, and so the parish and the community were inseparable, and so there was always music, and that was always there. The parish is smaller now, as you might imagine. It is now 118 years old now. But I think what is remarkable, and I think you mentioned it before we came on air, is that we're still in the Serbian Hall. We're still playing in the Serbian Hall, and that will continue. It is not when we would have Slava. It's a celebration. There's a picture up there of Slava in 1952 or 53, whatever have you, and there are 400 people in the hall. There aren't that many now because it's almost 60 years later. So the parish is smaller, but the spirit is in it, and so in terms of spirit, there's no difference.
Yeah.
if I can just expand on that a little bit geographically and historically, there were basically two sections of Steelton where our people lived. One was called the West Side, and that was along the river. I mean, it's all along the river, but this was right on the river. And that was mostly your Macedonians and Bulgarian people. Then we had the lower end, which is down by where the original Serb church was and the Croatian church. And that's where the Croatians and Serbs were. Some Slovenians, some Jewish people. It was almost like a little bit of redlining back in the day. White hats who were Irish and German lived uptown, and they pushed us down into these kind of little areas. So, you know, I'm a Croatian in a band with 3 Serbs, and Lenny's half. So we were all there in that one section. We got to learn each other's songs. And that's kind of how this developed.
Because my dad was born on the West Side. Actually, upstairs, his dad had a nightclub. It was called the Besmer House, and my dad was Serbian. His dad was bootlegged, so he was raised by his grandparents. So all he spoke was Serbian as a little kid. All our grandparents come from the old country. Our parents are all first generation American. So immigrants are near and dear to us, because that's what our grandparents were. My mom, a Croatian, lived down the lower end, 652 South 2nd Street. My dad and mom got together, a Serb and a Croatian, and they got married. And Donnie talked about the church down on 2nd Street. It was a Serbian Orthodox church. And right here was St. Mary's, a Roman Catholic church, and that's where the Croatians went. So when my mom and dad got married, it was a Serb Orthodox marrying a Roman Catholic Croatian, and they did just fine. So Steelton kind of broke down all those barriers. Even though there was redlining, and no matter where you go, you always find that, Steelton was very, very wonderful and special in that when he said our people meant all of us, and it still does today.
The first church there was St. Mary's.
Yeah.
And then before the Slovenians and the Serbs had their own churches, they would come there because they could understand the priest.
Right.
Because we had a priest we had Croatian Franciscans. So, and then, you know, as the communities grew, the Serbs built their own churches, the Slovenians built theirs. And, you know, the Bulgarians, Macedonians have one up further up.
So did all of your parents then work in or around the steel mills? You know, it was pretty hard work, I would imagine. Yeah. And then music at the end of the day, right? Or music on the weekends. So where did the music, like what kind of music do you play, and what inspires you now? Like where do you find music to play now?
Actually, among anywhere, I guess that's the thing, from other tamburashi, you know, and now with YouTube and so on, there's all the time, one of us is sending to the other 3, you know, hey, look at this tune, let's do this tune. So you get it also from, like I said, from other tamburashi. The tamburashi community has never been. It has never been exclusive. That is to say that you go and ask people for the tune, they will tell you the tune. It's not like, you know, I can't tell you that it's a secret. You know, the idea is to extend the culture. If I may say one thing, I want to get back to what Meek was saying in terms of how the town was settled. The Irish and the Germans and the English came to Steelton before we did, and there's a dividing line in terms of that red line stuff called Moon Street, MOHN. Below Moon Street was the lower end. Above it was where that community lived. Interestingly enough, when I was teaching my urban theory course at school, I used a book by John Bodnar about the steel industry. It turns out that the Bethlehem Steel Company had written in its personnel policies that Slavs, specifically Slavs, would only be laborers. And the fact that my grandfather retired as a craneman, you have to understand, that's like that in the steel mill, I worked in the steel mill, that's rites of passage. In the steel mill, nothing moves if the crane doesn't move. And so for him to go past that, and the craneman was really a whole lot to understand, a lot of ability to understand that. And so we couldn't live except on the lower end. When my Uncle Pete got first house on Pine Street, my grandpa, you know, God rest his soul, and my Uncle Pete too. My grandpa said in Serbian, we have a picture of it, okay? And he said, finally, there is a Janic, right? Janic on Pine Street. I'll never forget that.
But as kids, as far as getting the music, I can remember, like, as long as we've been on this planet, Tomodachi have been coming to Steelton to play. And there was a time back in the day where you could go up and down Front Street, Steelton, which is only a couple miles long, and there might be 3, 4, 5 venues where you could find live music. And Tomodachi groups would come from all over the country. And I can remember when we were real little, they would, you know, Tilly Clash and the Balkan Serenaders from Lackawanna, New York would come. They were like the Rolling Stones. And I can remember they would invite Donnie on stage to play along. You know, it happened for all of us.
Plus we had bands here too, and they would travel to, you know, it was nothing to go up to Buffalo for the weekend or out to Pittsburgh or,
absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Well, you just did that this past weekend, right?
Yeah.
Nick? You were traveling. You did 3 gigs in 3 nights.
And as far as how things have changed since communism's gone, it's a big difference. I remember cousins and stuff going to visit my relatives, and they always came back with like LPs and records.
Yeah.
And then now, you know, now it's easy. You can go on Facebook. I talk to my cousins all the time. Hey, you know, they'll send me a song, and you know, you were just
Well, he says his cousins. He's talking about his cousins in Old Country.
Yeah. So since communism is gone, it's a lot different. We're way more connected than they were for 80 years. I mean, those guys played what their grandparents played, who may not have been the best musicians, you know? So then when bands started coming from over there, and people went, oh, wow, that's what it sounds like, you know? Because no one had ever heard, certain generations had never heard it for real over there.
Yeah, and I remember when we were talking earlier that you talked about there being actually a Steelton sound. Like you could tell a tamburashi musician who was from Steelton versus Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Chicago, right? There's a particular sound. But now the kolo is a dance form that is ubiquitous in Serbian and Croatian parties, dance halls. Lenny, I think there's a photograph of you of you at your wedding on the profile that we did on the Susquehanna Music Folks Society page that is packed, and everybody's doing all these circles around. So why don't we talk a little bit about kolos, and you want to demonstrate and then play a kolo or two?
But the kolo, the word itself is circle dance, and they've been dancing kolos for 1,000 years. Mike teaches at the Kolo Club down at the Croatian Church for over 25 years.
Yeah, I teach a ton, though I don't do the dance,
but he's a dancer. And Donnie Lowe, Donnie Lowe was the first Kolo Club that we established here. When you were a kid, some kids went to Cub Scouts. We came to Kolo Club. That's what you did.
I got a whole story about Cub Scouts, but my dad wanted me to go to the Cub Scouts. Just to try, you know, and I came home after about 45 minutes, and he said, what happened? And I said, I didn't want. The guy said to me that I had to have a cherry soda. I said, I didn't want a cherry soda. He said, everybody else is having a cherry soda. I don't want a cherry soda. Jesus God, I don't want a cherry soda. He comes on, so I said, I'm out. So and you know, I'm out. But the thing was that it was a manufactured community. I guess that I didn't know that was. I was what, 8 years old, but it was a manufactured community.
The Cub Scouts.
Right. Okay. And one of the rites of passage apparently is to drink a freaking cherry soda, and I didn't want it, and God, you know, and they asked me what my name was, and I said Lenny Damn Tapsic. What's it?
You didn't drink no cherry soda in the Marines, did you?
I know. If the Marine Corps wanted me to drink cherry soda, I drank a damn cherry soda.
The kolo is so ingrained in the culture that when we were little kids, you just started walking, and you would run into the middle of the circle while the circle was going, and literally as soon as you could get your hands out, you held hands of other dancers and moved along with the kolo circle. So it was from birth that we were doing kolos. Right. My wife was doing kolos 2 days before she delivered our youngest baby here at the hall at a New Year's party.
And it's such a wonderful thing where folks of all stripes get together, they hold hands, they form a circle, and the music together, everybody collectively is doing. It's almost spiritual at times. And for us, for this group, when folks are dancing, it just doesn't get any better. So the kolo is, we're looking forward. This is just a prelude to October when all y'all come to Harrisburg and we have a kolo party. We're looking forward to that. So let's talk about Adeyano, Donnie.
Oh, okay. We're gonna do. We were talking about this, and just to show you that kolo can be to all the instruments or just drum. This is a tune called Adeyano, and what it is, it's a call to Yano, a woman, to essentially leave everything, sell the house, sell her everything, and come to dance. Come to dance, and it's such. It is such the quintessential sentiment, right? That just come to dance. It's all right, you know, and it like I said, it says to that. My grandfather loved this tune, and we had to sing it for him every Christmas at least once for a part of his Christmas gift. But you know, he wanted Adeyano, and it's in 7/8 for the musicians out there. It's in 7/8, and it's Macedonian, and it's the term of them is called lesnoto. Lesnoto is that group of 7/8, and so I'll play.
We'll play on drum, but yeah. So I'll show you a simple step, and you may be kolo dancers out there already, but all you would do on this one is you would go 1, 2, 3 this way, and then just 1 back this way. 1, 2, 3. That's it, okay? And then however you want to embellish it, that's it, okay? And you'll feel the tempo, and please, if you're in your living room or in the bathtub or on the porch or in the yard, please dance with us. Practice for when you come back in October, okay?
Also, I had someone say to us, to me, that the dancing lesnoto is almost a state of mind rather than the tune.
It's like the original therapy when people really just let's go dance, and then you don't have to go to the psychiatrist.
No.
You know,
Therapy is good.
Adeyano.
Adeyano kolo da igramo.
Adeyano.
Adeyano, aide dusho, kolo da igramo. Adeyano, aide dusho, kolo da igramo. Adeyano, konya da prodamo. Adeyano, aide dusho, konya da prodamo. Adeyano, aide dusho, konya da prodamo. This is a step. Back around. Only the right. Adeyano kuchu da prodamo. Adeyano, aide dusho, kuchu da prodamo. Adeyano, aide dusho, kuchu da prodamo.
Beautiful. Wow. But there's lots of different rhythms of kolos.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I think you've told me stories about certain people coming in the room and you all look at each other and know we got to do this kolo, right? Can you maybe share a story about that?
One, you can talk about Kata Grujic and Nishkabanya, but one, Jikino Kolo is 6'4", it's 6'4", and when my mom, that was my mom's favorite Kolo, and when my mom would get into the circle, we all knew it. And someone would say, you know, Donnie, your mom's in the Kolo, and that was her favorite. And so whatever tempo was best for her is what we played, and we watched her. How about that? We just watched her, and as soon as she was comfortable,
Because if you have 75 people dancing the Kolo, some are looking up saying it's too fast, some are looking up saying too slow. You just look at the real dancers, and that's what you follow. That's all.
my teti dot was could be let us say serious. Sometimes we're playing. Remember?
That's kind.
That's kind. We were playing Veliko Kolo, which is a really cool piece. And if you go just a little bit too fast, it's hard for the dancers. And if you go a little bit too slow, it's also hard. So you have to find that groove. And my teti would be dancing next to my Uncle Jim, and let's say we're up here. And so she's dancing, and clearly she doesn't like the tempo, so she gives me this eye like this. She looks at me and, oh man, hell. You know, so we change the tempo, okay? And then she looks back and she goes, remember that? It's like, geez, Donnie, you've been playing this for all of your life. You think you can play it at the right tempo just one time.
Hey, while we're in 7, let's play another one for that dance step you just learned. Let's do Yovano, okay?
Oh, okay.
Are you okay with that?
Okay, sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let Danilo sing one for you.
Yovano. There's 2 verses. Jovan ke Krajeva dara sediš mori belo plano beliš dušo sve na gore gleda Krajeva dara sediš mori belo plano beliš dušo sve na gore gleda Jovan ke Jaz doma te čekam mori doma da mi dojdeš a ti ne dojdeš dušo srce moje malečko Jaz doma te čekam mori doma da mi dojdeš a ti ne dojdeš dušo srce moje Jovano.
Beautiful. So now there's a question in the chat. Do you have dance teachers at most events when you play?
Depends what the event is. Rick goes to, if there's a wedding or something, or yeah.
No.
Oh, you mean, do we have people teaching at
Teaching
the
dance,
dance?
yeah, teaching.
No,
Everybody knows it.
Everybody
And
knows
the way you learn a kolos, you
Yeah, everybody, somebody who knows it, you go stand between two people who know it, and you follow them, and they would love to teach you to dance that kolos.
yeah.
And I can tell you, as a young kid, I mean,
Yeah.
I was 10, 12, 13 years old, and there were pretty girls, you wish you
Oh,
could
man,
hold that girl's
that's-
hand. The kolo, you can go, I can hold this girl's hand, all I have to do is
Yeah.
sit down and go to dance the kolo. I'm telling you, it is a beautiful thing. But just, I'll give you an example.
Is that how you met your wife?
No, we danced kolos before, that's for sure. But when folks come, for example, in October, when they come, we will absolutely give a 90-second tutorial before it's time to dance. And if you come into the kolo having an idea, you don't have to know anything. You'll learn it like this, okay? It makes it so much fun.
Just watch
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
Some people will stand behind the line
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
walk through it.
That's what I do.
And just
And then-
Until I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So formally, no teachers. Informally, you got there's teachers.
Yeah, okay. And then there's one more. Do Croatian musicians from Croatia frequently visit the community? Has it been a revitalizing experience, or are they learning something from the older songs from you all? Sometimes the music that comes in the early part of the century
Oh, you mean if they're
is
coming from over there?
retained. Yeah. Whereas maybe the music over there has changed.
I want to say pretty much it's one way, them to us. Because I was playing out in Pittsburgh one time for Creation Day, and my wife was standing out there with one of the musicians who also played, so that we had Americans and Europeans. And he went, "Where they get this song? This song is so old." Yeah, so
This song
Yeah.
is so old.
yeah, it was an ancient song that was popular here, and I was in a band with a lot of older guys, so they liked that song.
So they retained the older stuff, whereas the person coming from Croatia, they're playing newer,
They play new and old.
new and
New and old, yeah. If you go to see like at the end of the night, you gotta play old stuff like the
Yeah,
Charas and
that's right, you got it.
Siete
That's
Mata. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't matter what the
Right,
band is.
yeah, you have to play it. You have to
Okay,
play
we
it.
have a request.
A few years ago, I was over
need to read
in
this.
Belgrade, and the I was
you
requested
play
songs
some
from a
of
band,
those?
and one of the old guys in the band says,
messed it up.
"We haven't played that song in 30 years." Stuff that we do.
There's a request for Osam Tamburasha, and I said we did that on Saturday and messed it up. We messed it up. That's one tune we have to do. You know what? When you're
It's
here,
a great request.
yes, it is. When
October.
you're here in October, we promise that we won't mess it up as much.
And that's from Iveta, Iveta Pirgova, Bulgarian, right, Iveta?
Hey, didn't we do a show for her?
Yeah, down in
Down
New
in-
Jersey?
yeah.
Yeah, you probably did.
Yeah, hi Iveta.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Hi from the guys, Iveta.
Hey, you missed it after that particular dance. Remember when we went to the hotel and we had that big party?
Oh, that's right.
All the other folk dancers were at this one hotel. You missed it. My cousin went to take your place.
I know. I had a
Yeah.
conference in
Oh,
DC.
it was a riot. We had these Turks dancing Greek songs, and it was,
Oh, that's right.
yeah,
That
it
was
was
wonderful.
out of hand.
Was that a
Hello.
In the parking lot.
That was a great.
There's Iveta.
Say hi.
Yay.
Yeah, you should know Tamurashi play. We play anywhere.
I wanted the awesome Tamburashas Petru Varadina is my favorite song.
Well, we promised to have it in October, so we'll see you in October for sure with it.
Excellent, we will. I'll think of another request.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Good. So, one thing to note is that because of COVID, you all lost a lot of gigs and, haven't played together quite as much as you'd like. Although, listening to you, I would never know it. I mean, your voices are beautiful together and, but your music. So I know that's been an issue for you.
Yeah.
Well, we're forgetting words a lot.
Yeah, and that.
Forgetting words.
Yeah, and the band has always prided itself on being tight, and I think the reason for that is we listen to one another. We really, really listen to one another.
Mhm.
But there is no substitute for playing.
Yeah.
There simply isn't.
And it was tough because over this past year, there
Yeah.
are gigs that we have done. In fact, Chris just called us today. The Serbian church down in Lebanon has a harvest dance, and I can remember playing that dance. The old timers let me play with them on this cello when I was 14 years old, and we missed that last year. Last year we missed the picnic. We missed, going down to St. Lawrence, down to the Croatian Club. We missed our Serb Fest. So there was a lot of gigs that we play every year that Tamburashi have played in venues we have played forever in Steelton. And they all went away for a year. And it hurt, but it's nice to be back.
Yeah. So I think that gets to the question of excellence. What counts as excellence in the music that you play?
When Kolo dancers scream,
Yeah, Kolo dance and scream.
I know I'm doing my job when the girls are doing that.
Yeah.
Some of you know the Yuyukanya. When I hear that,
Yeah.
all right, I did my job.
Yeah.
That
Cool.
Amy asked me, if I may say, Amy asked me that question when we talked a bit ago last time, and I made the suggestion that I don't know that we would ever use the word excellence.
Not for this.
Not for and I mean just as a concept, and I talked about as a story. We were playing at the Macedonian Bulgarian church, and we were playing Zapevela. Remember, we were playing Zapevela. It's a lament. It's a lament. It's in 7, and so the lyrics can just tear your heart out. They will tear your heart out. And the Komashov, we played a long time, and so she had come around. She was to my right, and as the Kolo had come around, and she turned to me. There were tears in her eyes, and she said, "Dani, dosta molim, enough, please." I'll take that as a sign of whatever you think excellence is. Ever that was 25 years ago, and I remember that. And I think Meek is right. It's the connection.
Audience reaction.
It's the
And
connection.
when the Kolos, they're dancing, and then we stop, and the Kolo's over, and they just clap, and they don't move. They stand in there, and what's the next one? We want to go. We want to dance. You guys play. We're here to dance.
Yeah.
And this for us, that's excellence.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Every song is different every time we do it.
That is true.
I have a classical training, and where you sit with music in front of you, and it's got to be perfect every time and exact every time. And this is the complete opposite. When we were in the studio recording Zumbazai, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done because it's different every single time we play it.
Yeah.
So we would lay down a track and then go back and add something to it, and it couldn't do it because it was different. Always different. So it's excellence and perfection are completely different terms than what we do.
Yeah.
Excellence is the old timers who gave it to us.
Yeah.
When we think about how fortunate we were to have these guys just come on, jump on my back, pay attention to what I'm doing, learn what I'm doing, and then you guys take it and run with it and keep it alive and give it to the next generation, which is what we're all trying to do. But
yeah, the old guy coming up and saying, "Where'd you get that song from? That's such an old song. That's excellence."
Well, Chris, tell them what when you and Beth Ann were in Belgrade, and you down Skardalia, and you knew all those tunes.
Yeah.
Chris was down there, knew all those tunes, and the musicians there could understand.
Where'd this American guy learn all these tunes and all these songs? I'm singing along and having a ball.
Yeah.
Drinking Slivovitz,
Tipping.
tipping. They stayed around a long time.
So I know not all kolos are that sort of slow kind of, 7, 8. Can you play?
Yeah, let's mix it up.
Yeah, mix it
And
up.
a lot of times, it's almost a feel. Like let's do Nishka Banya, which is in 9.
I was gonna say let's do something square.
Square?
No, that's what Nishka Vanya.
Okay.
All right. We should break up. But Nishka Banya is in 9. So to try to count it, and any of us will tell you, we work with American musicians, wonderful rhythm drummer guys, and I'll tell you what, they'll try to count and they'll trip and fall over this tempo because they're just used to playing 4 or 3 or whatever. And Nishka Banya is in 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. The easiest way to feel it is quick, 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 slow. Quick, 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 slow. Quick, 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 slow. Quick, 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 slow. And dances, you would go 1, 2, 3, slow. 1, 2, 3, slow. Okay? And that's how you do this dance.
Went faster.
That's right. And then after you do the dance, the kola goes around. 1, 2, 3. And then everybody stops and drop their hands and they clap. They just 1, 2, 3. Quick, 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 slow, quick, quick. And then you grab hands and then the circle goes again. Okay? But it's always just like that, right?
Ai dui dui dui, ai dui dui dui, malamoya, tine lui dui, ai dui dui dui, ai dui dui dui, malamoya, tine lui dui.
And the ball goes. Something different.
Do mix malo then.
And we should tell you, that kola, a lot of times we'll play that, especially the younger kids that are in the kola club, they will sprint to the dance floor. They can't get to the dance floor fast enough. And once they get going with that step, and it's a grapevine step when you're going around before you stop and do the clap. And you got to know what you're doing to get in between those kids because they will lift you off your feet in that kola. What you got?
I was going to say mix mellow, but it's not
But we do have somebody requesting, I think it's Zumbazai.
Zumba.
So you do that, and you've got a story about that one.
Oh, yes, we do.
Way back.
George Cabba, our dear Romanian, God bless his soul. George Cabba would go to the old country. He would come back and say, hey, he would met a couple of gypsies in the village somewhere and bring a song. I don't know if it was ever written or recorded somewhere. And he would teach us songs. But this is a song he also taught us, Zumbazai. Zumbazai is kind of like do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-do, just Zumbazai. In Georgia say it's nonsensical. But it's a song about a kid, when he was in the mother's womb, he heard the music, and he started dancing in his mother's womb. Then he went to school, he heard the music, and he just started dancing on his desk. Then he went to war, and he heard the artillery, and he heard rhythm in the artillery. He would dance on the battlefield. Then he got married, and he had a dream, woke up on his wedding night, dancing in bed over his wife, just dancing in the middle of a dream. Finally, his dear mother-in-law passed. He was at the funeral, and his mother-in-law was being laid to rest, and he heard off in the distance, he heard music, he parted the crowd, and he danced over his mother-in-law's grave. That's Zumbazai. Am făcut nu știu ce-a lucrat la un potul au funat la un aparat. Cum ce el vezi până nu poți sta pe loc, cum au căut în zimbale și încep să joc. Hai Zumbazai, zumba, zumbazai, doi mărea eu fac așa, zumba, zumbazai. Hai Zumbazai, zumba, zumbazai, doi mărea eu fac așa, zumba, zumbazai. Spira-mi! M-a făcut la școală, m-a odat. Profesorii noștri ne-au uscat, ne-au învățat Kuše uve tut bruten lukus pastelok. Tut oko tut cymbalen en tut chepcheshuk. Hey, hi, zumba zai, zumba zumba zai. Doi mereo vakasha, zumba zumba zai. Hi, zumba zai, zumba zumba zai. Doi mereo vakasha, zumba zumba zai. Yeah. We're gonna fast forward to the funeral. Come sono s'accromiamo, cielo vive due, ciao. Kudele sao, poi on grappa, how don't symbol. Down the lume la parte, balanço de puxejo. Hey, hi, zumba zai, zumba zumba zai. Como é eu facachá, zumba zumba zai. Hi, zumba zai, zumba zumba zai. Como é eu facachá, zumba zumba zai. Hi, 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 zumba 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 zai. Hi, 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 zumba zumba zai. Hi, 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 zumba 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 zai. Hi, hi, hi. Zumba, Zumba, Zai.
Excellent.
Thanks
So
for
we
your
have another question here. Let's see, we got a couple. Do you travel to Croatian and Serbian communities around the country, like San Pedro, California? That's actually coming from somebody who is from California.
Yes.
Perhaps interested.
You guys played out there before, I was in. I played with my other band.
My first
Yeah,
gig
we
I
go all
gig
over the
was
place.
in Los Angeles, San Diego.
Oh yeah,
That's
right.
LA was mine.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, I think
Phoenix
there's
was nice. It's gonna sound cheesy, but they really do fly us all over the country.
We've had some good ones.
Yeah.
People don't believe it. It's four hunky boys from Steelton, but
Honolulu.
yeah.
Twice we've been to Hawaii. That was wonderful.
Awesome.
That call was the Croatian Hall, I think, in San Jose.
Yeah, San Jose. Yeah.
And we played up in the Redwood Forest. Remember in
Where was that?
It was a parlor party at Paula's.
Oh yeah.
In
It's
California?
in Santa Cruz. No. Wherever.
New York,
San Francisco.
DC.
Florida.
Toronto.
We're
Florida.
coming to Cleveland in September.
Yeah, we're coming to
So they don't
Cleveland.
have boat in Pompano Beach.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, how about the time we did that one in what was that, Miami? And they picked you and
Yeah,
me
we
up
stayed
in a
at that
limo.
mansion.
We were like, huh?
Yeah, we stayed at that mansion. That was great.
we stayed, of all places, we stayed at Carl Icon's house.
I don't think we're allowed to tell anybody.
No.
Well, we didn't stay there. We didn't stay there.
We stayed in a mansion.
We didn't stay.
It was
stay in
next
the
door.
mansion. The guy who brought us down was a former Navy SEAL and the head of security. So now he probably just lost his job.
Actually, I think Carl
Uh-oh.
sold that house.
So,
Carl
looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do. We've been blessed to travel all over the country.
Yeah.
so the person that requested Zumba Zai says thank you. And we have another, do you guys speak Serbian or Serbian Croatian? If so, do you speak it at home? And the question two is, do you have younger musicians who learn from you? That's a folklorist question, if I ever heard one.
I taught in the Kolo folklore group for 25 years. I must have taught 100 kids.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And Lenny and Chris teach here. I live in Delaware, so it's harder for me to do. In terms of speaking, yes, but not as well as I did before. I mean, that you just don't. Now there are some things I can say much better in Serbian than I can in English, but still, you're not.
We can all do that.
There are some curses that just
Don't
sound better.
translate quite right.
Yeah. Anyway, but I mean, so that's that's true. You know you're singing mostly, and there are some and so I didn't speak English until I was 5. I spoke Serbian. We lived with my grandpa and my grandma. So that was the language of the house, and you learned English as and down lower in the Steelton, when you went out in the alley, right? Everybody was Croatian or Serbian. So, when I was growing up.
We all know phrases. I mean, I can talk Croatian. Not
Yeah.
great, but I can talk it.
Yeah.
And a little more towards Kai than, but anyways, these guys, even though they're not fluent, and I wouldn't exactly say I'm fluent, but we all know phrases. We all know what stuff means.
Yeah.
It's harder to talk than it is to.
Well, I've heard you say things to each other in Serbian or Croatian.
Yeah,
that,
we do.
You don't want me to hear, right?
Oh my God.
I don't want you to know. So when I first met you, especially Danny and Lenny, some 30 odd years ago, you guys were just sort of young pups, right? We were all just young pups, and I remember you just being sort of that whippersnapper group, and now here you are, president of the church, the key to the club. You've spent many years playing this music, growing up in this community, and now you're really cultural leaders in the community. And I think from my conversations with you, you've sort of expanded. I know, Donnie, you play in a gypsy group, and in a jazz. You all play in different kinds of groups. I mean, Meek, you were talking about rock and roll one night, and something else another night. But so I feel like you've evolved, you've grown up, you've evolved with the music, you've evolved with the experiences, and yet I do remember, and we've talked about this, a time when your authenticity was kind of called into question, in fact, by a folklorist. So I would love to have you talk a little bit about authenticity, which I think is a little different than excellence, right? So authenticity, and then what do we, as folklorists who are mostly in this group, what can we learn from those kinds of experiences? What are your thoughts about that?
Like I said, our experience has been the only time authenticity was questioned was by a folklorist who had no idea what he was talking about.
Really an outsider.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And it actually, I don't mean to, I'll step on toes, I don't care. It was for the folklore festival, or whatever the hell it was. And we were supposed to play, and Lenny couldn't play both days, whatever. And Charlie Pills was going to play, one of the guys, and they knew about it months in advance. But long story short, is that what bothered me was the folklorist who was in charge of, waited until a week before the whole gig and then questioned authenticity. Now, I'm also an academic, so I understand what the theory says. Thank you, Ian. I understand that, but the theory is just that, right? Until it's operationalized and comes up against the world, it's just that, right? And what bothered me, and the reason he withdrew the invitation is because a guy was playing with us who was not Serbian or was not Balkan. Now, Charlie had played with us at weddings and here at the church, and that was okay for us. That was okay for our community. But this clown, and I'll call him that, this clown was going to make a comment to me about authenticity. There were two things about that bothered me. He withdrew the invitation a week before, and it was we had to dig down for 4 or 5 months. I told him that the VFW in Steelton would not do that to us. Right, number one. Okay. Number two, and then he said that, well, he could get us a gig. Like I really need him to get us a gig. Yeah. If I had gone to his house, and beyond that, then his arrogance then was betrayed by his ignorance. What he said to me then is, okay, if we don't have a tamburashi group, they're at least going to have a group from Russia. Oh, so now a Russian group can substitute for a Balkan group. He's only off by 1,000 freaking miles, but whatever. And it was that. And so I worry, particularly in a field like this. You operationalize some variables again, particularly in a field like this, where the definition, it seems to me, the definition of authenticity should come from the community. If Charlie is okay to play for Teti and my mom and everybody here, he should be okay to play for anybody else. who claims that.
Yeah, and I don't know we even ever think about.
Oh man, no, that's me. Now I don't know why that's ringing.
That's your phone. Somebody's calling you.
That's okay. Can you guys?
It's that guy.
Yeah.
Turn your ringer off.
God.
I did turn. I put do not disturb.
We don't think about authenticity. We had old timers who came off the boat and gave it to us, and and so what is authentic? We never ever think about that. Donnie, playing peekaboo.
I gotta fix it.
I think it was up here. Yeah.
You can still see us, Chris?
No, we
No.
can't
Okay.
see you. You were fine. You were fine. Just go back to how you were. I think you just have to put
It
your
was
camera
fine.
back. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're
It's
back.
better when
You're
you
good.
can't see us.
Okay, that's cool.
It's gone. So we're using the camera for the phone for the camera, and somebody was calling. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, we never think about authenticity. Tell them, Mike.
I can offer a couple of points, especially to the latter part of your question. First of all, we know how to not get stabbed at a picnic by playing the wrong song. All right, I'm gonna just put that out there because it can happen.
Yeah.
And one thing it seems to me that people struggle with sometimes, especially some of the people that are not our own kind, but come to the dances, okay? But they want to know folklore culture and stuff like that. This is not just the music. Music is only a part of the culture now, we're all Americans too. So, I go to baseball games and stuff like that. I don't sit around all the time doing this. But there's more to it than just going to a dance and running around in a circle. There's a reason we go to, like Lenny said, the reason I used to go into the kolos, show off to the girl across the way that I got, that I'm a good dancer. Or, the guys are over by the bar drinking bullshit about their work. And, Sunday morning, we're all going up to the mass. So it's more than just, look at me, I play the violin and I know this colo, and that musician over there doesn't play it. It's way more than that.
Mhm.
Way more than that.
Yeah.
Donnie always said the music is just the glue in our culture.
Yeah.
Music is
And church.
Yeah, and church.
Yeah.
All of us got it from our church. That's where we started playing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there is no, there's no difference. I think Meek's absolutely right. The music is the glue so much, and so we never questioned the authenticity of the group. That never even occurred. I mean, it just you play tamboura.
But we're in it, and we know,
Yes, that's correct.
we're in it.
Yeah.
And my mom did it, and my dad.
Yeah.
Hey,
My uncle
if we had kilts and we're playing bagpipes, you could say, "What are you guys doing?" Yeah, that's kind of authentic. But we're playing what we grew up with. This is all mother's milk to us. It really is.
And please don't misunderstand. I didn't mean to be as hard. Yeah, I did. That we are pleased. Like today, it's wonderful that you are interested in our culture. We are honored to do this. Honest, we are. Well, I am probably Lenny's not. He didn't give a shit. But apart from that, I mean, we are honored that is the case when you're interested in Amy's interest and so on. However, I think that sometimes we get stuck in our intellectual approach and just feel it. We played, this is years ago now, we played for the American Ethnomusicological Association. Remember that morning gig that we did? And they were just sitting, remember that? They were sitting there. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. Only time Tamburashi were playing at 9 o'clock in the morning is if we've been playing all night. But it happens all, all right. So we're playing there, right? And that's true. And so we're playing there, and they all came in to the room, and they sat. It was a classroom at a university, and they sat way ahead, way behind, away from us. So we asked them to come down. They didn't, but they all sat there and looked at us with no affect, right? And Lenny, I don't know whether you remember this. Lenny grabbed he said, "Don't say it," because he knew I could not handle it anymore. About 15 minutes. I thought I was good for 15 minutes, and finally I said to them, "Are you guys a mural?" Remember that?
Yeah.
They said, "Are you guys a mural?" Because and what it was is that they didn't come. This is a consumption of music, of art. This is not some discussion about political science or physics or anything. This is different. It is a different discipline. It is, in fact, right. It is, in fact. And so I understand as an academic, you're going to consume it in a particular way, and you're looking for some attributes that can confirm or disconfirm theory. I understand that. You know, I do it. I know how that works. Except that it's freaking music. Can you just not, you know? And there simply wasn't. And so we finished, and they got up and walked out, and I don't know that they knew that we were there.
Wow. So this is good advice for October. When you all come, we
Just come and dance.
the plan is to dance,
I
right?
can remember we were at Hunter College playing, and it was with George Cabo, and there was a dance after the concert we did, and I'll bet you 90% of the people were clueless to our music, but they had just been introduced to it. And I remember playing a colo, and there must have been 700 people. I remember being on the stage, and it was a sea of folks who got beside the next folk and decided this is how you do it, and they were dancing.
Yeah.
And they were just, the music was coming from our hearts, filling their hearts and moving their feet. And that's what matters.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether you know the step. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just if you feel it, you know, and you're welcome in the colo. That's the thing of all things about colo. You are welcome in the colo. We did an album called Colo. For that reason, you know, that you're welcome in the colo. Right.
That's great.
I would challenge one thing that you said.
Okay.
You did start this by saying when we grew up. I have not grown up yet.
Okay.
And that can be witnessed in any extravaganza breakout. The night before any wedding that we've ever played. A kitchen in the hall at a church in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
What's nice about our music, we really play it anywhere. We love, if we're playing it at a function, at a church, whatever, banquet, to go into the kitchen and play for those playing, you know.
Oh, sweet.
The folks in the kitchen, going to the bar and play for those working. Playing, you know, at the airport, in an elevator. It sounds good in an elevator.
It really does.
Or a bathroom. That's really good.
Yeah, bathrooms are good.
So it's clear you don't really enjoy playing with each other, right? So why do you keep playing?
I got nothing better to do.
I can't imagine not playing.
Yeah, that's.
And the way we learn this music lets us do all the other stuff we do. I think it does. In the symphony, him with Gypsy Jazz, you know, he's a rock and roll star. I played Twinkle Little Star on WITF, you know, on public TV. Just everything we do came from this. You know, this is our cornerstone, without a doubt.
When I went to college, I quit for a couple of years, you know, and I wasn't really into it. I was, you know, wanted to be a jock and stuff. But then, like 20, when something's missing here.
Yeah,
something's missing.
But
So pick the violin back up.
But we're buddies, man. We grew up together, and just knowing, especially after not playing, you know, we don't take it for granted. Just knowing we got a gig, I get butterflies, don't know if I'll get there.
yeah.
My boys, we're gonna pick it up. We're gonna make music. That's as good as it gets.
Meek, I hope I don't betray it, but I told Amy before we went on about your text to us on Saturday night, where you know we had a good time. We were playing and we were playing for the drive-by, the picnics, all that kind of stuff. But when there weren't cars, we were just playing among ourselves with the priest, you know. And Meek sent a text to us that evening, said, you know, it was really a good gig, and he said I would go to hell with you guys, something like that.
Follow you into hell.
I follow you into hell.
And it was Yuns.
Yeah. Yeah. It's you plural. It's fine. And
Well,
so
you know, these guys played with my parents too.
yeah.
You know, so that we just.
Meek's mom was just an amazing player and a beautiful, beautiful woman. I mean, in Steelton,
That's where I get my looks, you know.
And I, as a kid, I remember going to their
Oh,
house,
yeah.
and his mom and dad just kind of taking me under my wing and saying, "Come on, let's play." And I remember playing bass. In fact, I found a picture of me. I'm just a skinny little runt, and his mom and dad are playing, and we're on the island over across. I remember getting in the boat with my bass, and them taking us across the river and get out on the island to play over there.
Nice.
Wonderful memories.
Nice.
Yeah. But again, just another example of them passing it on and doing what they had to do to keep it alive.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing.
Well, why don't you play another tune and I'll go look and see if there's some new questions that have come up, okay?
I was gonna say the same thing. Fatu Mori.
Okay.
Where do we start that?
A.
In A.
This is me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Spun tebe noći ne spava. Niče šabina, nisi ja. Fatu mori dušmanke, lele dušmanke. Fatu mori dušmanke, lele dušmanke. Volim te, volim jedina, jer ti si moja sudbina. Fatu mori dušmanke, lele dušmanke. Fatu mori
Short line right here.
dušmanke, lele dušmanke. Sviraj mi.
Okay. Major. Right here.
3, 7. A tvoje usne najslaže, da me ne puste odlaže. Fatu mori dušmanke, lele dušmanke. Fatu mori dušmanke, lele dušmanke.
All right. Thank you. That was awesome. So it looks like I think we've answered all the questions. There's one question about, public programming and working with folklorists, and I'm trying to remember. I mean, years ago we did some traveling and touring stuff together, and I don't know if we ever did any apprenticeships. But
We
now
did.
Meek and I are going to be on another Zoom conversation in a couple weeks about the power of song. So I think there's some opportunities to figure out more
Yeah,
to do together.
We would absolutely love to do it, and Lenny does so much with kids and everybody knows every kid. I think every kid within Pennsylvania and knows Lenny.
Yeah.
Lenny and I would
Mr.
go out for a
Music,
drink,
right?
and the bartender would walk over and go, "Aren't you Mr. Music?"
quick explanation. My sister, who was dancing on that last song, and she's in there somewhere. When she was 21, when I was 21, she was a librarian at the Steelton Elementary School. She bought me a guitar, and just like the guy told me, learn to play cello, you can play anything. So I taught myself guitar, started playing for kids. When my kids came into the world, I was going to my daughter's kindergarten class, and they could never say Mr. Tepsik. And the little boy said, "Can we call you Mr. Music?" I said yes, and
nice.
it's a nickname that stuck. So,
Nice.
so yeah, so I did a lot of the kids.
And so that and he does a lot, and we would like to do, but Lenny has perfected that with taking music to kids. Remember, we were playing in Binghamton, New York. Remember this? Okay. They wanted us to come to an elementary school. Remember, 1st through 3rd grade, I guess. And what was really cool about that is it was great. What they said is that we had several gigs. One of which was at a unit for people who were getting a kidney dialysis. So it was people who would not normally do. And so we went there, and it was Lenny, and there were 300 kids, I guess it was at least. And so Lenny put together, and he said, "Just you follow me." And, okay. Long story short is all the kids were in this gymnasium sitting down, and Lenny had them eating out of the palm of his hand, okay, because they understand
It's illegal in 3 states.
Lenny should be.
I'm not even. I hope Jens didn't hear that, but it's okay. But what happened was it was so effective. Okay, these kids had never heard a live group. Okay, it was so effective that they were leaving. Remember, then they left past us. We were at the end of the gym, and they left by 2 rows going this way. And those kids, we touched the hands of every one of those. Remember, every one of those 300 kids, right? Because they wanted, and we as they went by, and that was all Lenny.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just following. That was all Lenny. And talk about authenticity. They understood that he did not speak down to them. That was the big thing. Okay, so his genuine feeling for them came out, and so he knows much more about that than at least I do. And the other guys doing stuff.
Yeah, that's great. So, so I think our time has come to an end. And I want to thank you. This has been so much fun. First of all, just to hang out with you all again and to hear your songs. I mean, I am so blessed because I actually got to be here in the room with you. And I just feel really, really blessed. So you all saw him on the screen, but I got to be right here dancing. So I just want to remind you all that October 23rd, I think it is,
right.
We're working on having them come to AFS and actually play for us for a dance. So, and I want to, you're going to say something else?
And I hope I was not too hard on the authenticity question. It was just one that, so I apologize if no, I don't.
October, we're really hoping that, I wish we could see your faces. We see your names.
Yeah, everybody put your faces on just so they can see your face for a minute. That would be really nice if you're
to see
there.
your faces, but please, we're looking forward to seeing you in October.
Yeah.
Right. Please come to Harrisburg.
And thanks to Christopher Moulet too for his help, but he organizing this. Christopher, thank you very much for going through this with us and make sure it sounded okay.
Oh, you guys are great.
Yeah, no.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And thank you, Danilo, for bringing the sound system and
My pleasure.
figuring out how to make it sound good. So, and thank you to all of you for joining us. It's always good to play for an audience, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think, and thank you to AFS. Thank you to Susquehanna Folk Music Society. Anything else? Chris, do you want to close us out? Hi, Lisa.
Just want to say thank you everyone for coming on, and Jess Hayden. Jess put something in the chat that there's a program, The Power of Song, which is on Wednesday, June 23rd at 7:30. The link is there. You can probably find that on the Susquehanna Folk Music Society website. And I just want to say thanks to everyone for being here. I don't know who was. Anyway, I don't know why that screen is sharing. Okay, well, thank you all so much for coming. And July 8th, there's another program happening here via Zoom with the American Folklore Society about textiles. And thanks so much to Yvonne Millspaw and the local committee who's doing such a great job. on everything. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll hopefully distribute this out. And I'll ask Svriaj to also help us share this video. If you guys are okay with us sharing this video, we'll do some mixing of the sound, and maybe it'll sound really even better. But you guys sounded fantastic. So thanks everyone for joining us, and have a great rest of the week. We'll be in touch soon.
Check us out at svriaj.band. That's our website, and we'll get this link up there if you'll let us.
Yeah,
Great.
absolutely.
Thanks again, everybody. Lago noć.
Thank you, Lago noć.
Thank you, Lago noć.
Yes.
Jivali.
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 Carla.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, great job. I thought you guys were fantastic. Thanks, Marilyn. Thanks for coming. Okay, I'm gonna stop this so I get this recording.